Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 129, which is amazing. Today I'm talking about the risks and benefits of owning a timeshare. Just for the background, I'm an elite member with Hilton, Marriott, and Worldmark / Wyndham. So I've seen it all, so I want to share my experience with everyone. So I'll talk about the major risks first, because I figure most people watching this will want to know what the risks and how to manage those. So it's the first one is the obvious one. I think the timeshare sales presentation it can be fraught with all kinds of situations. I'll go into details, and in every case, the risks I have mitigation because I've been successful at using timeshares, so I have a mitigation strategies for all of them. And the other thing is, a lot of people have commented that it's hard using your timeshares, and I'm also the other risk is how not to use them, or I should say how less efficiently you use them. And then I'll talk about the timeshare benefits. For me, the biggest one was I'm forced to take a great vacation. I personally wouldn't necessarily have done some of these vacations if I hadn't made the investment. So for me, it was like, no, you deserve this, and so I did it. So and then I'll talk about all the different ways you can use timeshares that I've used them over the last decade or so. And I want to leave the last thing as the last piece is the more you learn, the better you get. It's a big investment. Before I go into all the detail, though, I'll tell you a little bit about my channel. Hang in there, I'll be right back. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, it's probably no surprise the biggest risk to manage is that sales presentation. And the risks you run into is you get the overly aggressive sales pitch and fear of missing out. Oh, you have a special deal today only, and all that stuff, and that can be so many people that end up doing something you hear about. So many people that struggle with why did they do that. And again, they often, you're often on vacation when you're on one of these presentations, and you're relaxed and you're enjoying this, and you want more of that, and the salesperson pushes beyond that, and it's like more interested in selling you than actually meeting your needs, and so they end up taking advantage of your emotions. And then the last and probably the worst experience is, and I've had this happen to me, because when people ask me and say this situation is a situation, I say show it to me in writing. And you know what? When they don't, I don't take it as truth. And usually 80% of the time when I walk away and I go back and check, it's usually not the truth. So what can you do? The most important thing the biggest thing I want to leave you with is educate yourself. And think of it like when you buy a car. I know so many people when they buy a car, they totally research the thing. They know all the details. They know exactly why they want the car they want and everything. But people show up at a timeshare presentation just because somebody offered them dinner, and the next thing they know, they spent $20,000. So again, that's not the way. You're bound to end up in a problem, in my opinion. So if you're educated, that's the most important. That's your biggest thing. Don't make any decisions until you know what you want. And I always recommend that you do trial vacations. You take advantage of their promotions they have that end up with a sales presentation, but it's all about education. Because the biggest thing they push you on is, oh, tomorrow it's going to be more expensive. Well, things are more expensive, but you shouldn't make a decision just because you think it's based on that. It should be really what you want. And really sort of plan it out. I find that you get payback on the timeshares in 2 to 7 years, depending on if you buy it off market or whatever. And I actually have kept track of it. So 7 years is kind of my number that I use. So if you can plan to use it for 7 years and you're going to really use it, then you should be fine. And know what it takes to buy what you need for your vacation. I have talked to a lot of people who have bought because the salesperson sells the minimum, but it's not the minimum you need to actually do the vacations you want to do. So knowing what you need, the kind of vacations you want to do, and how many points that is, at least you know how much you need to spend, and you can make a decision whether you're going to do it or not, but not just buy, oh, I'll just start with a little bit, and you find out you don't have got actually to do what you want to do. And the last thing is join Tug. There's a lot of people with decades of experience. I've got decades of experience. I can constantly learn from other people who have different experiences on Tug, or watch videos like this. Again, it's all about education. The more educated you are, the better purchase you're going to make. No different than knowing about houses or cars or anything else. Hope you enjoyed that. Next topic. The other risk I get a lot is, I got it, but now I don't know how to use it. I can't get the places when I want them. They're not at all like what I was promised. I don't have enough points for what I want to do. Why did the person sell me that? You can't go on vacation every year. So hard, life gets in the way sometimes. And so here's what I do. I learn the booking rules, and the more you can plan ahead, just not any different than an airline reservation or hotel reservations. Of course, there are sometimes last minute deals. I'm not saying that don't exist, but more often than not, airfares get more expensive, car rentals get more expensive, everything gets more expensive the closer you get in. And so what I try to do is, the more I plan ahead and know what I want, then I also know, then I can plan ahead. I actually plan 1 to 2 years in advance because I love the opportunities that I get. I'm excited about it. So planning ahead works for me. And if you're not good at that and you only want to do last minute, be honest, timeshares may not be the right thing for you. And again, the other thing is know how many points are needed for each kind of a location or whatever. I actually go through the resort locations and see how many points it is, see when the peak periods are, sort of have that in my mind. What do I want to do if I want to plan ahead? Oh, Hawaii, I want to go in May and October because those are off-peak seasons, and I can go for less points, and so that means I can stay longer. That may not work with you if you have kids or so forth, but that's just an example of what you can do to really make it work. So now on to the next risk. The last one is how not to use your timeshare, and I kind of have a rule. So I am a very numbers-oriented person, so I know how much maintenance fees I'm using for every vacation. So I never do the cruises because I've calculated how much it costs me to do the cruise using maintenance points, and I can go to the cruise sites and spend less cash than the equivalent maintenance. So why use your timeshares inefficiently? Now, if you have the points and you're going to lose them, but again, recognizing you're actually overpaying. So that's my main rule, which is I always look at how much it's going to cost me in maintenance fees to actually do what I'm going to do, and can I do that cheaper by doing it direct? And so that's. Again, cruises more expensive. Right now, they're just starting out with homes, so the homes seem to be a lot more expensive. It's like they have another middle person between you. They don't actually own the homes. They're not like the timeshares where they own the buildings. So that's kind of my general rule. And I'm not saying don't rent homes or don't do that. It's just know what you're doing, and knowing what it's costing is just so you know that's the decision you're making. And I think that's what I have. So let me drop into now the benefits that I have experienced now that I've kind of gone through the risks, and tell you what I see as the benefits. I know this is going to sound funny, but I needed to be able to force myself to have a great vacation. I would be overly frugal, and I'd stay at Motel 6, and I wouldn't experience all the wonderful things I've done. I'm actually a frugal traveler. If I ignore the amount of money I invested in, I shop at Costco. I often don't rent a car. I enjoy the places I'm at, or I'll drive to them, and I'll do that, or I'll rent a car for a couple days just to go do the driving, but mostly I'm enjoying the place I'm at. So I don't spend a lot of extra money. I mean, literally, the Costco prices, even in Hawaii, which is where I am now, they're they're the same price as they are in the mainland. So staying in Hawaii, the points are roughly the same for the places I'm staying versus the places in the U.S., in the mainland. So really, being in Hawaii for me is not that much more expensive, which is not what you hear. You go to Hawaii, that's going to be really expensive. Well, it is if you eat out every night in the high-priced restaurants and so forth. But I enjoy just being in Hawaii and the atmosphere here, or we're going for walks along the beach. That's priceless for me. Again, ongoing costs are so much lower. I'll be in a place that maybe I'm paying $120 in maintenance fees a night, and there'll be somebody who's renting it for $400 to $500 or $600 a night. And so when you look at that difference versus someone who's rented it, yeah, it is expensive for them, but it's not. I'm not saying it's cheap, but it's not. A Motel 6 here in Honolulu is more expensive than my maintenance fees to stay, and I'm much happier in the places I'm staying. And again, I look at this as a special time with friends. This is really a treat, and I am really fortunate to have this. I can't speak to how lucky I feel. Of course, I worked for it, but I feel very lucky to share this with friends and family, and have, I think, exclusive opportunities. And I'm going to places I never would have gone because I have the opportunity to do that. It opened up a world of travel for me, and I know I sound like a timeshare salesperson, but I'm actually living the benefits they actually they sell you on. So hard to complain with that. Okay, I'm laughing because I know I sound like a timeshare salesman, and I'm not. But here's the deal: I feel free to go where I want to go. There's some restrictions, and it's not not anywhere or anytime or whatever. I have to think it through. But I use it for week-long vacations. I use it travel to tropical locations. I travel to the mountains. I love driving vacations now because the timeshares have consolidated. So like Hilton, you can literally drive across the mainland U.S. and stay in timeshares the whole way. You might have to have a 10-hour drive between one, but you can do it. And you can stay a couple days. I've done it. I've actually driven from San Francisco to San Diego. I've done a trip to Ohio from San Francisco, which is where I live, in the Bay Area. And I did that by staying in timeshares. Except, when I was with my family, I stayed with them. I've managed to do last call trips to save money, where I'd be staying for $40 a night. It's just amazing places I've stayed, and I feel so lucky, and I've used them so many different ways over the last decade. It really, I know, again, I sound like a salesperson, but it really opens up a lot of options for me, and I feel so fortunate that I made that decision. There were downsides, there were risks that I talked about earlier. I've been through them all. I've learned a lot. I've got to where I can use them, and that's really the bottom line, is get good at using them, and you'll be happy. The last part, the more you learn, the better your vacation, and I mentioned that in the last slide, but I'm like a kid. I'm embarrassed to say, I suppose. I don't look like a kid. I'm not a kid. But I'm excited to discover a new opportunity. And I actually spend time learning or talking to other people or reading other blogs. I go to Tug and see what other people have done. And I go, oh, man, I'd like to do that. And lo and behold, I just figure out how to go do it. So, again, I'm going to argue you should spend time on yourself and trying to get some enjoyment in life, and this is the way I use it. Other people might have boats. If you're a big boating person, this is just my thing. If you're the boat person or car person or whatever it might be, this just happens to be who I am, and I feel so lucky that I get to do things that I don't. As a kid, I don't know that I dreamt that this would be possible. Some of the things I've done. And again, there are more options, the more you learn. That's the bottom line. I know I'm repetitive a little here, but it's probably important to say it multiple times as well. Other things that are happening is I find the timeshare companies are now competing with Airbnb, and that's really good because now they're starting to add homes for rent. It's still not a good deal, but I think it's going to become a good deal. Just like other businesses have with competition, we just get better. And again, the last thing is I want to leave you with is I treat my points as money in the bank, and how do I want to spend my money, and that's the way I look at it, and I want to maximize that all the time. So again, it's like having money, and why not pay for something for yourself? Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe.